The pick is in, and ladies and gentlemen, the selection is indeed none other than Trevor Lawrence. So automatically Trevor Lawrence becomes, congratulations.
Look at the black, man. Look at the black there.
There you go. Nicely done.
Hey, he's going to be all uniform team. I'll just call that out.
No question about it. He automatically is now the highest rated draftee ever to come out of Clemson. A couple of players before, Sammy Watkins went forward to Buffalo a few years ago, and then Cleveland Ferrell a few years ago, which I'll still never understand. Went 4th overall to the Ravens.
They don't even understand.
But this is also, I mean, he's their first #1 overall, which is a thing that I just still boggles my mind. Because I'm talking about the offensive lineman that played in front of him. But also that he was able to do this. Like, I don't see kids go #1 to #1. Like, we project them to do that.
Correct.
But I need to say, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us, in that we get to say that we evaluated a kid well, we get to say that the NFL agreed with us, and we get to say that he accomplished things in college football. That's now.
It's pretty good. Michael Vick is with us here. Michael, thanks for being with us this evening. First of all, what do you think about the idea of what the expectations are for Trevor Lawrence and what he should be?
I think they're fair expectations. I mean, anytime you take in #1, and I know from personal experience, instantly I thought about what it was going to take to attain a certain level of success. Not just in year 1, but, for the next 10 years, being the face of the franchise. That's what's most important. So instantly I looked at the division. I heard TJ just mention, the division. I think the division for Trevor Lawrence is pretty tough, but that's one thing that he has to take into consideration. I did it at, the time I was drafted by Atlanta. I looked at Tampa. I looked at St. Louis at the time and the Carolina Panthers. And it was instantly, how can I win my division in the next couple of years in order to make my team efficient playoff team?
And no surprise here, it is Zach Wilson, the quarterback out of BYU. Now, all right, someone is unhappy. All right, well, you know what, sir? Take your story elsewhere. No, we appreciate your patronage and your support. We really do. Zach is an interesting guy, right? Because he was on fire this year. And you watched some of the throws he made at BYU, moving in and around the pocket. They were Mahomes-like throws, some of them. They were jaw-dropping. But it was just the year previous, we weren't seeing that from Zach Wilson. So how much can you read into what we saw this past year, and how does that project into what you think he'll be 5 years from now in the NFL?
Well, I think there's a bunch of stuff to be excited about with this guy. First off, he didn't get a chance to run a 40 officially on his pro day. We think he's a high 4.5 guy. He was in our group running with the same speed.
Really?
This is a fast
4.4.
I would say 4.5, but this dude is a lot faster than people think. Patrick Mahomes is not a 4.6 guy, probably a 4.8 guy, to be honest. So, one, Zach is a much better athlete than people realize. He's also bigger than people give him credit for. Everyone asks me how tiny is he in person. He's not tiny in person. Yeah. He's not 6'4", but he's not tiny in person. He has the ability to make a lot of throws. He's going to have a ton of highlights this year. I think that this whole story is going to revolve around his ability to handle the New York media. Yeah. And one of the things
which, by the way, Darnold sort of admitted when he was at Carolina, he's like, good luck with that. He and Eli alluded to it too. It's
but think about it. You can't find a quote of Sam Darnold in the last 3 years where you go, he should not have said that.
Correct.
Right? And handled it incredibly well. And so, but Sam was in LA before that. Right? He had been around that. Sam grew up around all the guys. Mike, my brother, he grew up around all this. Where Zach, I go, okay, from small town, not really played against anybody, no meaningful media, none of that stuff.
Correct.
They're going to celebrate him, and he's going to have highlights on it. But year 2, year 3, when everybody's on you, unless you have some sort of track record of handling it, you're kind of rolling the dice on that. And that'll be the story with him, is be over the next 3 years, how that negativity, which is inevitable, is going to affect him. And that's, I think, going to be the storyline. Because this roster, there's a lot left to be desired with the talent around him. So this isn't going to be some situation where he jumps in and he's got dudes open all over the place. They're going to hopefully address it with picks and all that. But again, I think the story is going to be his ability to handle the magnitude of New York and how well he can play with a pretty depleted roster around him until they solve for it.
It is not Justin Fields. It is Trey Lance. Bison, stand up. North Dakota State is in the house as Trey Lance goes 3rd overall. Look,
I called it.
We've been saying this forever, right? You don't
RJ,
make that.
You all right?
You gonna be all right?
You all right?
You gonna be okay?
No.
Okay.
No. What are we doing here? Slater.
Well, apparently they're getting.
What should they have
everybody's
done?
getting you very upset. Can we give RJ decaf for the rest of the evening? We got a long way to go.
I'm gonna use my pressure points.
We got a long way to go here. This is interesting because when they made the trade, when Shanahan made the trade, Kyle, he wasn't trading for one of three guys. You don't move up that far to say we like any one of the three quarterbacks, because then you'd move up to 5 or 6 and you'd be happy with any one of them. They obviously, and Kyle obviously was targeting Trey Lance from day one.
Yeah, I love Trey Lance. My thought on Trey is not going to come up on a single draft board. It's not going to come up on any TV shows. It's not a statistic. This is one of the most likable and approachable and magnetic personalities that I've been around. Now, that doesn't make you good at football, but when you take, let's say that him and Justin Fields, you look at all the attributes and you go, I don't know how to separate them. Let's say that was the case. When somebody is, and you played with some really cool guys, we've been around guys, it's not even about how cool they are. It's, can somebody come in and everything's always okay? Right. Everybody believes that it's always all good. Trevor Lawrence is similar. This guy's personality, and it doesn't show up on Zoom. So that's where the media and fans, they don't get to experience this guy. Never heard of him, never really watched him play. We haven't been talking about him for 3 years. So this little tiny thing gets slipped through the cracks. But at the same time, when it was between, Mac Jones and Trey Lance, I look at Trey Lance and I go, where's he at compared to where his ceiling is? And where's Mac Jones at compared to what his ceiling is? And with Trey Lance, you got an ability to sit potentially behind Jimmy Garoppolo, to continue to get developed, and you can insert him just like we saw Kaepernick get inserted with an injured Alex Smith. I just see the same thing unfolding here. You start with Jimmy, you sit this guy until it's his time, one way or another, but his ceiling is significantly higher than where it is, where it's been being evaluated.
And it is Kyle Pitts, by the way. He has gone. Thank you very much. It is Kyle Pitts, the tight end, the unicorn. TJ, you've been working with him. Now, I found that Atlanta was, to me, that's where the draft started, because if they drafted a quarterback, it tells me that they're tearing the house down to the studs and we're building the thing back up again. By taking Kyle Pitts, it tells me we still think we can win with Matty Ice for a couple of years, and we're getting more weapons and hopefully have a better season than we did a year ago when nothing went right. This guy's been called a unicorn in the draft. You work with Kyle Pitts. What makes him so special in your mind?
I was shocked. The first day he comes out, and I think Jordan was out there. I couldn't believe somebody his size was able, he was like an NBA player that had some size on him, moving like a wide receiver. It shocked me. I had never seen that before. I put my guys in drills, especially the bigger guys. We got to be able to move in the phone booth. I always tell them, we got to be able to get open in the phone booth. And he was moving like a guy 5'7", 5'8", at his size with good quickness, good speed. It just shocked me. It shocked me. I had never seen anything like it. And right away, and he would call me, hey, whenever we can work, I'll work. It doesn't matter what time it is. Just whenever you can do it, I'm free. Yeah. And that's what stuck out more than anything. He texted me, can you work to this? Like 6 o'clock. Like, we don't have no lights. Well, all right, we'll turn the lights on in the car and just go to the park and work. Like, he just wanted to work. But he's super talented as well.
As it is indeed Ja'Marr Chase, who goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. LSU family got to be very happy about seeing Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase reunited. Because it's interesting, RJ, everyone said when Justin Jefferson went last year to Minnesota, hey, he's good. Ja'Marr Chase is the better receiver out of those two. And then Justin Jefferson lights the world on fire, setting all kinds of Minnesota Vikings rookie records and NFL receiving rookie records. So what are realistic expectations now for Ja'Marr Chase?
Got to be up there for Rookie of the Year this year. I mean, that's what you're drafting, right? And then you take into account what he did in 2019, because I kept thinking somebody's going to put the shackles on this kid. He plays in the SEC. He's going to play against Clemson in a national championship game, and it never happened, right? He wins the Biletnikoff Award going along with that. And then what I love most about him is he wants to pass block. I don't run into a lot of wide receivers that want to pass block, Trey. Yeah, we want to go run routes. We want to catch passes.
He's a willing participant.
Hey, man, he said, I want you in the college football playoff, Peach Bowl against Oklahoma. I want Parnell Motley to put his hands on me. I want him to put his hands on me so he can feel me. And I want him to be terrified of me stock blocking. I want him to be terrified of me running downfield. I want him to have his head on the swivel the whole time. And I think Ja'Marr Chase walks around with that sort of confidence. Now you put him with a quarterback that he knows. I got one issue. What was Joe Burrow doing in the second half of the season?
Rehab.
Is that not your franchise?
It's Jaylen Waddle, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoa! Look at my man.
That's hard. That boy is dynamic.
Look at my man.
Wow.
Look at
Okay.
my man.
This is kind of funny, right? Because the Miami Dolphins are in this position because of all the wheeling and dealing they did with the Laramie Tunsil trade. They've turned Laramie Tunsil into 4 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and a couple of third-rounders over the next couple of years. So Laramie Tunsil is the gift that keeps on giving for Miami, and one of the gifts is Jaylen Waddle. TJ, could you make the argument that if Jaylen Waddle had been healthy, DeVonta Smith would not have won the Heisman Trophy?
I'm not going to make that argument. That is the truth.
Yeah.
And DeVonta Smith knows that as well.
Yeah.
You don't never want to see a teammate go down. When he went down, he was like, it's my chance to shine. Jaylen Waddle is dying. When I look at Jaylen Waddle, they all need to thank Tyreek Hill when they meet him.
Correct.
Because he's shown that we can be short and be super effective. We're a matchup nightmare, almost what we talked about with Kyle Pitts. They're short, but they're fast and they're extremely quick. They have speed and quickness. What this kid can do is going to be through the roof. And he reunites with a college teammate that was his quarterback. I'm excited for this because this kid can flat out play.
Geoff Schwartz is happy because Big Man is going to Detroit. Penei Sewell is there. Jeff, first of all, you've been through the Detroit experience. You might want to embrace Penei, but tell America why this was the right choice.
Dan Campbell said he wants guys that bite kneecaps, right? This is Penei Sewell. He plays with violent intentions. Here's the thing about Penei. He's 20 years old. He'll play the first month of the season at 20 years old. We have not seen a player of his talent and his age in forever at this position. That's what makes him so exciting, is he can do so much, and he'll be so much better with just age, right? His body will mature, his technique will get better. He's a tone setter for your franchise. And the Lions got a steal here at 7. Absolute steal, and I'm so happy for Penei, happy for the Lions. And Dan Campbell got his guy, got his knee biter, ankle biter, whatever he said on that press conference.
And the pick is Jaycee Horn.
You caught it.
You're good. You are good.
Look at you.
You are good.
Spots and talk betting up there?
Yeah, I think the odds on your draft selections just went through the roof. I love Jaycee Horn.
It's a great pick.
And you want to talk about a dog?
Yeah.
He's got that attitude. And, for those that don't know his father, Joe Horn, part of the greatest wide receiver draft class in the history of the draft in 1996. Look it up, kids. Look it up. Use the Google. 1996 was really good. Really good. He'll have good cell phone reception.
He'll have good cell phone
We know
reception.
that much. Are there any concerns you have? Because he's played against some of the top receivers. Some of those times it didn't go very well.
No, I don't have any concerns with this guy. Some friends in Atlanta in the youth development and all that stuff, these guys who work with a lot of these guys who come up from Atlanta, there's been this kid at South Carolina that everybody's been talking about, who outworks everybody, and as a college kid, lines up against the NFL receivers who come to town to train and doesn't put up with anybody's stuff at any point. And so you look at last year's draft in Carolina, I think it was 9 guys selected.
Correct.
They had 9 draft picks. They used all 9 on defense. What you get by adding Jaycee Horn is this young crop of defenders who need to grow. You're getting a guy coming in with a veteran mentality who's not, just like I said about Penei Sewell, that attitude, that confidence coming in to rebuild that offensive line in Detroit. I think Jaycee Horn comes in as a guy who's essentially going to come in year 1 and lead all these year 2 guys. And they don't have Luke Kuechly anymore. Yeah. They don't have Thomas Davis anymore. They don't have these consummate veteran presence in the locker room. And so Jaycee Horn's a guy that comes in right away. 1, he wipes out half the field. And 2, he raises the level of play of everybody around him.
Whoa, Pat Surtain!
It is Patrick Surtain, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, so cornerbacks off the board, 8 and 9.
Kansas City twice. We got to be able to slow him down.
Yeah. By the way, Patrick Surtain was coached in high school by his father, Patrick Surtain, who had
the Cowboys are like,
yeah. And one of my favorite lines about Patrick Surtain when he was talking about his son, he says, the thing that separates Pat from the rest of the cornerbacks is, well, everything. That's a father, right? That's a father,
That's
right?
your
You know what
dad,
makes
for
my son great? Everything, all of it. He's just that awesome. This is crushing for the Cowboys, though, right? This is crushing for the Cowboys. Because that's one of the guys.
Hey, ease up.
Yeah.
Ease up.
Okay.
Ease up.
Because?
We the boys.
Okay.
We the boys over here.
Okay.
That hurts
This
the
still
Cowboys.
hurts.
I know it hurts.
still
That's what I'm
hurts.
saying.
It still hurts the Cowboys.
Look, and when I'm talking to him on the number 1 ranked show, I'm hey, who you hearing from? Jerry called you up? What you trying to do? But more than that, the thing I love about this kid is he took the coaching from his father, and he's taken his father's name, and he loves it. I don't run into that. Usually when you are a junior or the second, You're the kind of guy that's, hey, I'm my own man. Yeah. What? See, there you go. Something you can speak to there, right? But the other part about that is Nick Saban saying this kid was never in my office for anything at all. He was one of those guys that we keep hearing about, right? He's also the first SEC Defensive Player of the Year at Alabama playing corner. So good, Brian Kelly says out loud, hey, broadcast team, we're not throwing to Surtain over there. He's off limits. Still won Rose Bowl.
And he went to the perfect team. Vic Fangio, that defensive system they run, his corners are going to thrive. He went to the perfect team. Yeah.
So DeVonta Smith is now off the board. And here comes the Alabama run, okay? Here comes the Alabama run that we talked about. We're through the 10th pick in the draft, and we've already got 3 of them off the board. I'm telling you, 7 is within Alabama's reach.
I like it.
It is going to happen.
6.5 over under. Are you taking the over?
I'm taking the over.
You're taking the over.
What are the over on 6.5 and 7? Get the odds up there, Jason and Geoff. We'll figure that part of it out. Okay, they're already putting him at 170. We know it's 170.
He gained 4 pounds.
He gained 4 pounds. It's a lot of water weight.
You got 2.5 pounds in that bow tie.
That's a lot of water weight. Where are we on the actual concerns, TJ, about the weight? Because you can't match the production. You can't worry about the tape, the spectacular plays. The only thing you can say, if you're transitioning him to the next level, he's going to have to get off press coverage in the NFL at 166 to 170 pounds. Where's your level of concern?
It's concerning. And for me, I don't care how good you are. Being 165, 170 pounds, that's concerning. But he's been dealing with this his entire life. And so for him, he doesn't look at it as a concern. This is what I've done my entire life. People have always told me I was too skinny. I'm too small. And all I've done is get results. And that's what it boils down to. He's going to give you results. Now, playing in Philadelphia, it's going to be cold. That body, is he going to be able to hold up? And people don't take into account, when you play in cold weather, your body just is not the same as playing in Alabama in that hot, humid weather. But I'm slightly concerned.
Let's celebrate for Chicago for a second,
Correct.
though. You know what I mean? Because Justin Fields is from a place in Big Ten country.
Correct.
And this is a man who did nothing but want to play football. Like, my favorite thing about Fields is he had an opportunity to play professional baseball. Chose not to. He wanted to enroll early at Georgia. His father is fielding calls from general managers saying, hey, make the kid graduate in spring. Please. We want to pay him, then we want to send him out. Fields said, no, I want to be an NFL quarterback. Along with Trevor Lawrence, along with these top 5 draft picks. This is a guy who said, I wanted to play football. Led a campaign to reinstate the Big Ten season, and then it happened. Starts his season in November, leads the team to a national championship game in January.
Lit it up.
And has done nothing but won since he got to Ohio State. Chicago, we've been talking about a quarterback. Sig Luckman, that's your joke, right?
Actually, it isn't a joke. That's the problem.
But that's
it really
what I mean.
isn't a joke,
And now what do we have? We have a guy that wants to play quarterback. We have a guy that fits Nagy's system. And we have a guy that I don't know how he got to this point. You know what I mean? I'm happy for him. I'm glad that the Bears did the right thing. More than that, I think we can have more faith in what Ryan Pace is going to do now.
It is Micah Parsons. It is Micah Parsons out of Penn State.
I like the pick.
Well, here's why this makes all the sense in the world. You ready? In 2020, the Cowboys allowed 34 passing touchdowns, tying for the 3rd most in the league, and made only 10 picks, tying for the 5th fewest. Dallas allowed 473 points, the most in franchise history. And what was so weird about the Cowboys, when Dak and company was healthy and they were scoring 1 million points, they couldn't stop anybody. Then when the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, came in and they couldn't score any points, suddenly the Cowboys defense got a lot better. It was just a weird season all the way across the board.
I love this pick. I love this pick because you could pair this guy with a guy who had 154 tackles last year, Jaylen Smith, but also because Micah Parsons is the most competitive player in this draft, right?
Which has gotten him in trouble a couple of times, but I respect it.
But I want that from a defensive player.
A dog.
You said your son played O-line the same way. I know you respect
absolutely. A dog.
I want a guy who's sideline to sideline, a guy that can line up in a 9 technique and go after quarterbacks. More than that, I want a guy who had never played chess before, finds out that LeVar Arrington has a chess set, wants to play him, gets beat by LeVar. Takes 2 weeks to go on chess.com to learn how to play the game, and does not let LeVar leave the table until he gets a W. This was one of my favorite stories about Micah Parsons because it demonstrates I will learn what it is you do. I will get good enough at it to beat you.
It is Slater. And by the way, congratulations. So Rashawn Slater is the first guy. Oh, no, now Now, he may be just outside the top 10, as Pat Fitzgerald is very happy. But he's the first offensive tackle taken in the first round out of Northwestern since Chris Hinton. Just for people that are football fans and memorabilia, Chris Hinton was part of the John Elway trade. That's how long ago that was when a Northwestern offensive lineman went in the first round. But Slater's another guy that's opted out. So all this talk we've heard over the last couple of years, with
4 opt-outs
in the first 13 picks. So basically 25%. So all that smoke you heard about the opt-outs, again, it's all lies. It's all disinformation and misinformation. Understand that. It's lying season in the NFL from the end of the combine through this entire process. It doesn't matter. It's Alijah Vera-Tucker. It's the guy out of USC. Now, listen, he's a good player, but now we're seeing Darrisaw fall from a lot of play. Listen, Vera-Tucker's a very good player. Don't get me wrong. But I'm really shocked that Darrisaw is still on the board and Vera-Tucker went.
Yeah, well, they did this last year with their tackle that they took,
Micah
Becton, in terms of, now he's a freak size-wise, but they went athlete, because we always talk about how big he is. You talk to players on the team, they talk about how athletic he is, right? Yeah. It's kind of like some of these offensive linemen, they're really productive, but the players on the team describe their athleticism. I played with Kyle Long in Chicago his first couple of years. Everyone talked about how big he was. Players on the team said, no, it's not how big he is. It's how athletic he is. And I think that's the biggest thing that we saw with Micah Becton last year. And being in Southern California, talking to a bunch of Trojans, everybody talks about Alijah Vera-Tucker's athleticism.
Because we have our 5th quarterback off the board. By the way, look, if you're watching an NFL, look how fast Mac Jones is walking up to the podium. He is like, what took so damn long? Just so people understand, Mac Jones is now a New England Patriots quarterback. That is significant on a variety of levels. First and foremost, we now have 5. We have 5 quarterbacks go in the top 15 picks. And this is the highest Bill Belichick has ever drafted a quarterback. Before this, it was Jimmy G in 2014, 62nd overall. Obviously, when you have Tom Brady, you don't want to draft a quarterback. But they have Cam back. Cam's going to play this year. But obviously, they're betting the long game here on Mac Jones.
Well, we always hear that Bill Belichick really only confides in one college coach, and Nick Saban.
Correct.
Right? You always hear that connection.
It was Urban when he was at Florida. They did a bunch of stuff there, and he got a bunch of players out of there. But you're right. Right now, it's definitely Saban.
And that has not resulted in Bill Belichick drafting only guys from Bama. What it's in is, how is this Auburn guy? How is this Georgia guy, right? They've used him as a resource, and this is the first time he's taken a quarterback in the first round. It's the highest he's done that. But I think the significance here is, I think he has a firm understanding of what he's getting in a way that not everybody else does. Think about it. This year, normally when you're evaluating players, let's just say quarterbacks, okay? When you're on a non-COVID year, you got the Senior Bowl. You get to hang out with the guy, right, as a coaching staff. Then you got the Combine. Okay? You have an informal meeting. Then you have your formal sit-down. Then you have their pro day. Usually these guys do a dinner. I remember when they drafted Jarrett Stidham, the Patriots came in and had a dinner the night before. That's a very common thing. You have a dinner with the player the night before the pro day. You get to know him. Then you have him to your facility. You spend a whole day with them. So by the time you're drafting guys on a non-COVID year, you have spent hours with this player. That's not the case last year, and that's not the case this year. And so I think Bill Belichick has as much of an understanding of who he's getting at quarterback as anybody, including Trevor Lawrence in this draft, because he has so much in-depth analysis of everything that is Mac Jones. And so look at Bill Belichick, who has not had a great success at drafting quarterbacks, by the way.
No.
Kevin O'Connell, 3rd-round pick. He's now the offensive coordinator with the Rams. Yeah. Right? You go down the list of these second. Ryan Mallett.
There's a name.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
You want to talk about a freak show athlete, this guy, okay? He led his conference, or tied for the lead in his conference last season with interceptions. He's a linebacker. That should never happen. This is a guy that's 6'4", 270, and runs like the wind. But what's interesting here, the Cardinals have not had a lot of success in drafting this position. Hassan Reddick a few years ago, he's gone. Everyone thought Isaiah Simmons was the unicorn a couple of years ago. That hasn't translated. Is Zaven Collins going to be the guy to make this work?
I think so, and you've got to really bet on the pedigree here because there hadn't been a whole hell of a lot of it, right? We're talking about the first guy out of the TU drafted since 1977, James August. Yeah. Mr. NFL Wiz.
That is correct.
And then before him, Glenn Dobbs in 43. That's about it. We're not used to this at the University of Tulsa, right? But also the first All-American to come out of that place since 1991, my buddy Jerry Ostrowski, an offensive lineman, the last dude to do that. But you see him on tape, and you see what he's been able to do. And a guy that picks off a pass is one thing. Pick off the pass, run it 96 yards the other way. Something else entirely. I think this is the kid to do it because he's had to work this hard all of his life, right? Coming out of Hominy, Oklahoma, which doesn't even have a
People
dot.
don't understand. Hominy is this big. It is this big. Like McAllister is a massive city
Bustling metropolis.
compared to Hominy, Oklahoma.
Took the only FBS offer he had to the University of Tulsa and moved inside, right, when he's a natural outside player and said, no, I can do all of this. And he feels prepared for this. And he came back to play. When he could have opted out, he could have done that because he said, no, I can improve into the first round. And that's what he believed going into 2020. And you've seen that. Bednarik Award winner. I thought he was going to win the Butkus Award. It's the best linebacker that I've seen at that position with that weight ever.
Alex Leatherwood
What are you
is
gonna get
off
you?
the board. I mean, I've watched this kid since the Under Armour game. He was a man at 14. Like, he's one of those guys like Ashawn Robinson. He's 21 and he looks like he's 46 and he could be Kimbo Slice. I mean, these guys are at a different level. And Leatherwood goes to the Raiders, which, by the way, is a good pick, but it's also a perfect fit because they gutted their entire offensive line this offseason.
100%. And when you look at what Alex Leatherwood was able to do at Alabama, playing that left tackle position with such grace and speed, like, the thing that I was always shocked about is how we didn't talk about him. We talked about Landon Dickerson, right? We talked about Evan Neal. We talked about Deontay Burton. We forgot about the offensive tackle on the left side, which never happens in college football because we're always looking at that guy going, why isn't my quarterback upright? And you didn't have that problem with Leatherwood. And that offensive line, quiet as it's kept, gave up 11 sacks of Mac Jones in 13 games, and he was the linchpin in it.
Now, this is fascinating for a variety of reasons, and we'll get into that here. First of all, he's got to be thrilled because he goes from the U to the Miami Dolphins. Like, I'm good. I'm set up. I don't have to do anything. There's no doubt what his talent is. There's no doubt the skill set that he possesses. There's no doubt that he can wreak havoc. But we're talking about a guy that was told at his old school, you need to medically retire because of concussions. And it's not just the concussions. There are other issues that he's had to deal with. This is a gamble that the past is not prologue. And how concerned should they be about that?
Go ahead.
It's interesting to me because I think about Greg Rousseau here and choosing to opt out, right? We've been talking about how they don't care, right? This is a guy that had 15 and a half sacks and I think 20 tackles for loss in 2019. Also played on the other side of Quincy Roach. So I'm not at all sure what it is I'm buying in Jaylen Phillips because I knew that the other bookends that they had were that good.
But we do have a pick in for the Washington football team, and it's Jamin Davis, the linebacker out of Kentucky. And he's kind of a defensive version of Joe Burrow a couple of years ago. No one knew who Jamin Davis was before this season, and he had an unbelievable year at Kentucky.
100%. And I think when you look at what Kentucky was built on with Mark Stoops, it's been defense, right? Look about Josh Allen a couple of years ago, right? We're seeing him come out at that edge position. I look at another guy that was going highly in this draft, or so we thought, in Kelvin Joseph. If I'm looking for defensive players that are in the rough, that I think are steals, I'm going to go look at Kentucky. I'm going to look at a guy like Jamin Davis.
It's Kadarius Toney, people.
I love it. They're just building around Daniel Jones right now. I mean, Daniel Jones has shown early on in his career, and he showed it a lot at Duke as well. Daniel Jones at Duke, I think, got hit as much as any quarterback I've seen in college football who was taken high. And so he's shown his mobility, his ability to run. I understand he fell on a long one.
He also puts the ball on the floor.
I understand that. But to be able to, when he has time, he pushes the ball down the field and he creates plays. So to give this guy another weapon outside, now this might be high, we'll see, time will tell, but I like that they're getting more weepons around him.
It's Kwity Paye. It's
Edge.
Kwity Paye. Now, I like this pick.
Yeah.
I like this pick for Indianapolis. Kwity Paye, someone once said, well, how would you describe Kwity Paye? And said he's the best read defender in college football because he's so big and so long and so explosive. Like, if you were talking about read option, he was the best read defender in college football, is the way Kwity Paye was described.
And you can't put a value on that when you're talking about guys that were at the top of this draft, right?
Correct.
Like Trey Lance, Justin Fields, guys that can move, guys that have made their living on that read play. And being the defender there, I've always thought has been a nightmare, right? Like, Jordan, when you talk to some of these guys that have to defend this zone read, this read option, what do they tell you?
Well, you have to be able to make up space, right? You can do that with quickness, you can do that with size, or you can do that with both with Kwity Paye.
Yeah,
and so
you can just have it all.
Yeah, because all we're looking for somebody to do is turn their shoulders, right? And what keeps you from having to turn your shoulders is the ability to cover ground and make very subtle movements that cover a lot of ground. And so Kwity Paye, being so long and playing with his hands, one of the things that you see when you break him down, he's not one of those pass rushers that leans and uses that force. He uses his hands. And I think we're seeing a big shift in pass rushers that used to be the big guys. Now it's the long guys, right, that use their hands. They can extend and look and read off of that, whether it's a run pass or quick game to get their hands up. So I love this pick for Kwity Paye.
And the wait for Caleb Farley is over. Tennessee Titans take the cornerback Caleb Farley. Just so people know, he was the first big-time player to opt out because of COVID. And by the way, he was supposed to be at the draft, but contracted COVID. He's asymptomatic, so he's at home doing fine. But again, the discectomy. And I don't want to. I hope he plays 12 years, right? I hope he plays 12 years. It's just concerning.
Trey, if he can give you 5, I'll take that off my first round pick. If you give me 5 years, I'll take it. Anything else is a bonus. I'll take that. Yeah. They lose Adoree Jackson, makes a ton of sense. They lose Adoree Jackson, New York Giants in offseason, makes a ton of sense. He's arguably the best corner in the draft if he's healthy.
Christian Darrisaw is off the board. And kids,
Zim want to run it.
Kids, want to tell you something. Zim does want to run it. He fired an offensive coordinator 2 years ago.
Wants to run it.
Kids, it's very important. There's a lesson for you. I want you to listen to Uncle Trey here for a moment. You know what Christian Darrisaw was ranked coming out of high school? He was rated as the 1,848th best player in that draft.
That's 200.
So you know what Christian Darrisaw is telling that ranker right now? Kiss it, because he's a first-round pick. This is the kind of thing we're talking about. So don't listen to somebody else tell you what you can and can't be. Darrisaw chose to opt his own way, and he has found his way into the first round for the Minnesota Vikings. First running back off the board. Jeff, I'm with you. Whoa, flying everywhere. Jeff, I'm with you. I would never take a running back in the first round. Like, for example, the top 7 rushers last year, none of them were first-round picks.
Did you know something we didn't know? Because you said it.
What?
Pittsburgh is infatuated with Najee.
They are.
You said it.
They are.
But look, when you rank dead last in rush yards per game,
Is it the running back or is it?
No, I'm with Jeff. I think the year before Connor did okay. They need to reconstruct how they play offense. That's what they need to do.
The other guy that I thought they might take on, Zaven Collins, is gone, right? Because they got the hammer on one side and they got the dude that can cover everybody else on the other, right? That dude's gone for them. The best available is Najee. And Najee got a better grade from me than Derrick Henry coming out of college, the dude that won a Heisman Trophy.
We have running backs go back-to-back in the first round. We only had one last year, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that went to Kansas City. I do like this pick.
I like this pick a lot. Now, James Robinson had a fantastic year, particularly for being an undrafted rookie free agent. But
especially in a year where there was no preseason games for him to prove himself.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
I like this pick, though. When you think about the first round versus the second round from a contract standpoint, you can essentially lock a backup for 7 years. In theory, you could tag him twice, right?
Yep.
We heard Andy Reid talk about that, or heard different people talk about Kansas City doing that at 32 last year. I like this pick. Pittsburgh, they needed to address it, but here, it's not necessarily a position of need. I'd say tight end's more of a position of need. But this is obviously somebody, they've broken down every snap of the Clemson Tigers.
Greg Newsom out of Northwestern. So Northwestern stand up.
Two guys in the first round.
Pat Fitzgerald just got a 12-year contract extension. Congratulations. Wow. 2 Northwestern players go in the first round. Slater went earlier to the Chargers, and now we have Greg Newsom going to Cleveland.
What did Trey just say? They got to get past who?
Kansas City.
Okay, we're going to draft. I will agree. The Bills are in it.
Yeah.
We're going to draft guys that can hopefully cover Kansas City. We got to be able to shut down Tyreek Hill. We got to be able to shut down Mecole Hardman. We got to be able to shut down Stephon Diggs in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Bateman is an interesting guy.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot I'm curious, TJ, why you don't like him, because I think there's a lot to like about what we're seeing out of Rashad Bateman.
He played very well in 2019.
Yeah.
Didn't play that well this year.
Well, okay, but how much of that is, hey, the Big Ten, we're not having a season. Oh, we're going to have a season.
And they lost games to COVID.
Yeah.
Now, so let me go through my notes, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing that I looked at was
not as quick as 2 cats.
No, he's not. He has a big. He does have a big catch radius, and he will go get the ball. But the problem is in the NFL, you can't just win contested catches all the time because the DBs get paid also.
Yeah.
His quarterback is who?
Lamar Jackson.
No. Before that, at Minnesota.
I don't know the guy's name.
Hey, exactly. You don't know the guy's name because Tanner Morgan wasn't that great.
The thing that he has no burst. No burst. And the only thing is, we already talked about no elite quickness. But if you watch him, like he'll be running, they hit him right there, he falls.
So you
Like
think
he's
physical enough?
tackled very. Is it a courage thing? Is it the Valentine ain't pumping what it should be pumping? I don't know what it is. But to me, if I draft a receiver in the first round, in my opinion, Terrace Marshall's better than him.
Yeah.
Rondale Moore is way better than him.
I would love
Elijah
Rondale Moore. They
Moore
kinda
is
have that
better than
debate.
him.
The Saints have selected Peyton Turner,
Yo!
defensive end out of Houston.
Size and speed.
Now, I'm somewhat surprised by this selection. Are you guys somewhat surprised?
Oh, yeah. Because I didn't think anybody was watching.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
Is it like Marcus Davenport?
No. So when I look at American football, right, I think of it as Power 6 football because I see what Central Florida is capable of doing and what they're going to be capable of doing. I've seen what Houston can do with De'Ara King at quarterback. I mentioned Tulsa and Zaven Collins. But those dudes on that defense have been eating people up. But again, when you break down tape, what do you see? I don't necessarily see the same thing. I'm seeing what I see on the football field against American competition, right? And this is where I really get into this conversation of, do we think that the American is as competitive as, say, the Big 12 or the Pac-12 or the Big 10?
This is clearly an indication
Goodness.
that
They just don't
we're
care what
good.
has to say.
Yeah, we're done.
Or
they, yeah.
Cole's bluff.
Or, to your point, all that stuff we were lying.
Yeah.
All that, we love you, what can we do to make you happy? Sorry, we didn't mean a word of it.
Or they realize that, look, Aaron's not coming back.
Yeah. I think this is a very strong indication with this pick that they don't believe he's
We're going to
coming
read
back.
a lot of articles about this tomorrow.
Correct.
A lot of
Can't wait.
opinions.
Well, there'll be a
Anybody
lot,
who has an
there'll be a lot
opinion,
of
have
hot
an opinion on
takes.
this. Yes.
There'll be a lot of hot
For the
takes
second
on
year
this
in a
one.
row, we'll be talking about the Green Bay Packers first-round draft selection all day tomorrow.
Now, that being said, Eric Stokes is a good player.
Absolutely.
He's a very good player.
Is he better than Tyson Campbell?
No. I don't think so.
That's the question.
Yes, in terms of position, but the bigger argument is what message are the Packers sending by making this selection? That's the overriding thing to me.
Absolutely.
Because if they had any interest in saying, let's try and salvage this, they would extend the olive branch in some way, shape, or form. I think this is them saying, hey, man, if you're gone, you're gone. We appreciate your time. He has shown to be an athletic freak. There's no question about that. He was a guy that was a tight end in high school, played 1 year of high-level college football at a different position, and he's a first-round pick. If that's not the ultimate roll of the dice, I don't know what is.
But we've seen that, right? We got one great year out of Jamar Chase. We got one great year out of DeVonta Smith, right? We have the touchdown catch in the as a true freshman in 2017. I think that's all you need now, right? If you have the one good year of good tape.
You want to see more than that.
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
Especially
you guys
this
have all been to
position.
Vegas? Everybody been to Vegas,
Yeah.
right?
No,
When do you play the big hands? When you're up,
Yes.
right? So I look at Brandon Beane right here, who's sitting here going, we had one position of real interest in this first round at running back. Both guys are off the board. You're not going to reach and take somebody else, right? We look at it and you go, can we add a wideout? Well, I don't know. We got a couple good ones, right? They've been very prolific through the air. And so you sit here and go, hey, best available. Hey, this is the position to take
They can take their shot. You're exactly right.
We say first-round pick. He's the 30th pick.
Right.
Right? This is not a top 10 pick.
Right.
So this is the ultimate time to go ahead and double down and play that hand and say, you know what? If this guy doesn't pan out, I know it was a first-round pick, but it was the 30th pick. If he does pan out, we can allow this guy. We don't need him to start week one.
Correct.
We can move him in there, and we're going to score a lot of points, which means offenses that we play against this year are going to be dropping back and throwing.
Jason Oweh.
Yeah.
Out of Penn State. So we got two. We got two Penn State.
Freak
Penn
show
State.
at the test.
What'd you say?
man.
Best athlete in the draft.
All right. For those that didn't hear it, TJ Hushman's out over there saying it's the best athlete in the draft, and you see it there. Freaky tester. Jason Oweh is a guy. I'm sure he thought he was going to hear his name a lot sooner than this.
Yeah, we'll switch jackets. I'm going back up there.
Right?
You know, he's one of those guys that I didn't know if anybody was actually watching when you test it out, right? Because we weren't actually talking about Jason Oweh until we saw the test numbers and he went through the interview process. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting text messages. My phone's blowing up going, hey, there are two guys out of Penn State, right? You know about the one, this kid Oweh we really like. And when you talk about edge guys, I'm like, what is it that you like most about him? And it's that he's got more than one move. It's that he is freaky fast. And you love this broad jump. And he went, what, 10-9?
Joe Tryon, the defensive edge rusher out of Washington. So we've seen a run on the edge rushers down the stretch. And by the way, that means Alabama only tied Miami, so they had 6. So it's still the U and Alabama at the top with the most in the first round, 6 instead of 7, because Barmore didn't go and Dylan Moses didn't go.
First draft we've had where 2 defensive tackles didn't get drafted. Did we have a defensive tackle drafted in the first round?
Nope.
Yeah, so since 98.
Wow.
And we knew it was going to be a run. So what do we think of Joe Tryon?
I like it. I think you got Jason Pierre-Paul, who's played at a high level, but is getting long in the tooth. You get a young guy who's athletic to come in there and learn from him, play alongside him. And you don't have a glaring need. He doesn't have to jump. He doesn't have to start right away.
Rotation.
100%.
Gets a rotation.
I mean, he can play in the middle and outside. He can do both.
But you're not going to break up Levante David and Devin White.
No.
But what I do enjoy.
2 years, he'll be in the.
Right. JPP is in his 30s. And Ndamukong Suh is in his 30s, right? You're going to need to replace the whole left side of
Levante
that.
Davis signed a 2-year extension.
Right. Yeah.
And so you would assume he'll slide right in next to Devin White.
Either or,
Yes.
right? And that's one of the reasons I like it.